moment.
With both Cars and The Pleasure Principle storming to #1, Gary was the biggest new act in the world. A UK tour was planned with a lavish light show and a prestigious opening night in the Glasgow Apollo, where Gary would make his first public appearance.
One of my most abiding memories of the whole Gary era was that first show in Glasgow, because we really didn't know what to expect, and we'd known that he'd had some big records. This was obviously, at this point, I think he had 3 albums in the top 20 at the same time, which is real Beatles stuff. I can't think of anyone that's actually had 3 albums in the top 20 at the same time. And because he'd never been out on the road, we didn't really have any idea of what his fans were going to be like and who was actually buying these records.
You're just a viewer, so cold and distant. Well, I've no intention of saying I love you.
Walking out on stage in Glasgow, emotionally you're all over the place. Now, you're really frightened because it's a really big gig and you've never done anything like it before. I'd only done pubs, to empty pubs before. Nobody knew who we were. And all of a sudden you become successful, not through gigging but by records. So the next time you do it, I mean, the last gig I did before Glasgow was some little place in Acton. There was a massive fight and it all got stopped, just at a pub. So all a bit in at the deep end. So really frightened, but really thought the light show was special. So I was really proud of that. And the only thing I was really unsure about was me, whether I'd be able to be interesting enough to look at. And just not really knowing whether I could do it or not, because I'd never been in that position. I'd never been on a proper stage before with a proper audience. And I knew the press were hostile. So I knew there was going to be an awful lot of people waiting for me to make a mess of it.
Coming, as we had done, from playing in grotty little basement punk clubs, the production values on that tour were enormous. I mean, quite frankly, I'm sure one of the reasons why OMD supported Gary was because there was only 2 of us and a tape recorder, and we could be squeezed on in front of the curtain with this huge production behind it. It really worked. And audiences probably had never seen anything like it before.
And at the end of the show, we were all backstage. We said, OK, let's go back to the hotel now, shall we? And someone opened the stage door, and there was 1 million fans out there trying to get in. And someone just pulled the door shut. What do we do now? So someone went and got a coach driver, got a coach right up to the stage door so you could actually go straight from the stage door into the coach. And we drove off down the street with all these fans hanging onto the windows. It was that moment, I think, that made us realise, including Gary, how big it was.
Over the next year, Gary Numan's star would continue to rise. 1980 saw Gary have further worldwide top 10 hits, #1 albums, and complete 2 sell-out world tours, even managing to break the tough American market with Cars and The Pleasure Principle. Gary seemed unstoppable.
So I'm down to this. I'm down to walking on air.
I recorded 3 albums, I think, in less than 12 months, and it was all now becoming really successful. It's an amazing thing to go through that. It is unbelievably exciting, and it just, the whole world just suddenly seems to be opening up, and every day I'm getting more and more famous, and the records are selling more, and Half Inch Electric's going to #1, and stayed there for a month, and I'm becoming this massive pop star. I just thought it was easy. It seemed really, really easy.
This is not love. This is not even what the point of you.
But Gary's career would take a new twist, just as dramatic and unexpected as his rise. And he would face a series of critical, commercial and personal setbacks that would leave him at an all-time low.
The backlash against his success was so extreme.
The knives were out for him right from the start. Finally, it's like, maybe the press did manage to convince people that they weren't supposed to be listening to Gary Numan.
I'd run out of everything. I'd run out of optimism and ideas.
I've been there and seen it. I've been up
lost my own way on every level and was just desperate.
With back-to-back #1 albums and sell-out world tours, Gary returned to writing. But the fame and success brought with it new pressures.
And all of a sudden you're famous and everyone's talking to you and everyone knows who you are, and I'm thinking, didn't know what I was doing at all. And all of it was weird and uncomfortable. But having my personality and then moving into something like that very, very quickly, you don't really have any time to adapt to it. It's suddenly you're in a completely different world within a few weeks from what you had before. For someone like me, that would be really tricky. And you're going to react to it in all kinds of weird ways. And I think a lot of the stuff on Telecon is I think it describes it really well, to be honest, what I'm going through.
Telecon, Gary's third album, was released just a year after The Pleasure Principle. An even more electronic sound and the return of guitars to Gary's writing framed a lyrical isolation that demonstrated his struggle with his newfound fame.
The Telecon, I was finding my feet a little bit by then compared to the first one, but still light years away from where I've got to. Musically, the album was a really good step forward from the one before, much bigger sounding. I was very happy with the sound of it. I was very happy with it. The Telecon will probably be one of my favourite albums from those early years. But it's the beginning of me becoming definitely paranoid and realising more than ever that I don't interact well with people and struggling with that.
This is not love. This is not even what the point of you.
Tracks from the album like I Die, You Die and We Are Glass also reflected Gary's difficult relationship with the press and the ongoing critical and personal hostility they displayed.
I don't know for sure why they picked on Gary Numan. I suspect that they possibly had the same attitude that we had initially, which was, who the hell is this bloke who suddenly got into electronic music? You know, where did he come from? We paid our dues. We were proper first wave, so where did he come from?
But because it was so artfully constructed, it was asking to be knocked down, I suppose, even though it was revolutionary and it changed the world of music. Well, not just for a period of time, but yeah, but forever, probably. I suppose it's a shame in a way that it wasn't recognised as being as groundbreaking as it was because people were too busy taking pot shots.
I hadn't enjoyed it at all. I hadn't really enjoyed great big chunks of the whole fame thing all round. And playing live, I hadn't really taken too nervous, too much negative stuff written about it. When I wanted to get out of it, they made sense to me.
In early 1981, Gary announced his retirement from touring, shocking the music world and his ever-loyal fans. The stage was set for a spectacular farewell tour featuring Gary's largest light show to date.
We did 3 nights at Wembley to finish. Coming off at the end of that last one, I thought even then I might have made a mistake, to be honest about it. But the thinking behind it was sound, you concentrate on the music. The touring was taking you out of the studio, so I wasn't spending enough time working on new stuff. Come out of the limelight a bit, back off, slow everything down, just try to understand where you are.